Hey, if you're curious about self-branding for artists, stick around and listen. Welcome to the Tune Pack Podcast. I'm your host, the punk rock pop, Lee Pierce. And today we're going to be talking about individual branding for band members. And we are lucky enough to have as our guest today, we have Jessi
What's
Dills.
up, Tune
Jessi,
Packed?
thanks for stopping in. Could you do us a favor and introduce yourself to everybody?
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. My name is Jessi Dills. Like Lee said, I am a trumpet player in a whole bunch of bands that we'll get into in a few minutes here, I'm sure. But I do a lot of studio stuff. I do a lot of touring. I do a lot of local shows in my community. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm a fellow Midwesterner, so we're gonna have a good time together today.
Yeah, so we'll probably talk forever. We already
hmm
discussed that. All right. So, episode today, we're talking about individual branding for band members. And the reason I asked you to come on is you're obviously part of a band, several bands at that, and you've been able to kind of start your own brand inside of that because you're very unique. You've got your own style, you've got your own look, your own attitude, your own vibe, and that follows you from band to band. And I was just wondering, is that something like that you set out like intended to do, or is it just something that kind of happened as you developed and became the artist that you are
Yeah,
today?
that's a really good question. I think I just have a really loud personality. I'm just like a boisterous person, you know. I am just what you see is what you get, and so that kind of follows me. And let me tell you, that's been the case my entire life. You know, I have got me in trouble in school a lot, but I think I'm better for it, and yeah, I didn't intend, like what is the brand of Jessi Dills, but it kind of has become its own thing, which is really cool. I'm very, very lucky. So that's just me, baby. I don't know.
That's awesome because you're the background character with main character
Yeah,
action, main character vibe, and personality,
that's
and it's just
perfectly
great to
put.
see.
Yeah,
Well, thank
yeah,
you. I do. That's why I do this. I guess I come up with a good nugget every once in a
yeah. That's a
while.
good one.
All right. So why don't you start talking about all the bands that you are in? Because you've got quite a few like full time ones, and the regular guest star that you do as well.
Yeah, so I am in a band called Something to Do out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's my main project. We have a lot going on right now. I'm in a band called Local Legends, also out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And that's the band that I started, so it's very near and dear to my heart. Myself and my best friend Smoke Suski started a band together, and it's been really awesome. We've been at it for a few years. I'm in a band called Public Serpents with the drummer from Choking Victim, Squirt Gun, and we do a lot of international touring. That's the big travel band, and we've been all over the place. And then I'm in a band called the Von Tramps out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we have also done a lot of international tours. We do a lot. That's an all-women band, and so it's a much different vibe, and it's very cool. I guess it's not all women, but it's mostly women. So it's a lot of fun to be in.
So how did you end up in so many full time, especially like full time projects? It's not like you do one of these. I'll do it once over the summer. I'll guest spot. But like these are ones that you run quite a few gigs and recording and everything with. So how did you get involved with so many?
You just can't say no to things, I guess. I moved to Milwaukee in 2020 or 2019, right before COVID, and I was in ska bands in Indiana, where I moved here from, and so I just started like emailing random bands. I just Googled like Milwaukee ska, and then just started emailing, hey, I'm a trumpet player, I'm new in town. Can I join your band? And Something to Do said yes, and a different band said no, but their bass player said, well, why don't you and I start a side project together? And that's how Local Legends was born. So that was really cool. And then from there, I think Local Legends had a show opening for the Von Tramps, and they. I wasn't there, but apparently while we were on stage, they were all talking with each other like, "We're gonna steal her. She's our trumpet player now." And I was so impressed with their set that when they reached out, I literally like spun around in my chair. I was like, "Oh my god, yes, I would love to." And then for Public Serpents, it was like somebody had tagged me in some Facebook post that was like, hey, we're looking for horn players. And so it all just really worked out. And there is some overlap in, like our tours. And, sometimes I have to miss a show with one band because I'm playing with another band, and that sucks. But it is, I really have a really solid group of people in each of those bands and they're all very understanding about, like I need to be running around all of the time. So, yeah, I'm really lucky.
I just love how casual you say that you're in all these bands when you were talking about, I'm saying, explaining why I have you on here because you are a brand. You got this great energy, this great vibe, and you look confused when I say that. But then you're saying, well, yeah, this band wants to steal me. This band wants to steal me. It's because you being
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
It's a perfect example of
Thank
that.
you. Thanks for saying that. I really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
so please take some credit for this. Like you're pleading your own case. You just got to listen to yourself sometimes. I think we all need to do that too, though.
Yeah.
We have to be our own biggest fans because some days nobody else going to do it. So, all right, and I should have you on for a networking episode too, because talking about just the cold emails, that's me. I'm the king of cold calls. That's how I get all my guests. I've only had maybe 3 or 4 guests that reached out to me or were, from someone else that had suggested them. So it's if I don't, nobody's gonna know if they don't
Yeah,
know.
I put together like a Google Drive file and it had like examples of my vocals and like photos and videos of me on stage and other bands. And so I just like, it was the cold call with the like, here's this link, check out, this is what I do. Yeah, and it is a network. It is part of networking. It is really important to be able to talk about yourself and be able to talk about the things that you're good at and be able to say, hey, I'm good at this. It's cool that I get to be in so many bands and that people think I'm, a brand in its own, but really like, I'm a damn good performer. And I think like people see that and they want that. We want that, in our band. And so, there is branding and there is, all of these networking, other important things, but it really like, I am a master of my craft and I can proudly say that for sure.
Well, being as talented as you are, and then also, it's not like you even strive for. Like you said, it's just your personality. You've got all this energy, and you're larger than life, and you're going to be the most entertaining one on the stage. You're going to be the most memorable one on the stage. After the gig, everybody's going to be talking about the trumpet player. And that's awesome. And that's why you're able to move from band to band to band because those bands are thinking, look what she did for them. Look at the energy she brings. Look at what the crowd does when she's there. We want her. We got to get her, and that's awesome. That's a real good position to be in.
It is. Yeah, it is. I'm very, very lucky. And I've been, lucky to have my own projects or projects that I regularly contribute to. But I've been lucky to guest with a lot of bands too. I was, can't believe I get to say this, but I'm like a regular guest with Mustard Plug, which is like, I mean, 15-year-old me is just losing her mind. It's fantastic. I've been able to play with bands like the Toasters, Pilfers, this band called Iron Roses, who I absolutely love. If you're not familiar, everyone go listen to their new record right now. They're incredible. And then I guessed regularly with other bands like Space Monkey Mafia from Minneapolis, and Lefty Lucy is a local band in Wisconsin that I play with, and we all have a good time together. So there is a lot of pieces of that where whether, even if it's not, we see her perform and we want her in our band, it's at least like, hey, would you want to do a song with us? And that's the coolest feeling in the world. I think that's the highest compliment that I can get as a musician, right? Is someone saying like, I like what you do, come do it with me. Even if it's just for one song or a short run.
Yeah, well, that covers what I was going to ask you next is about, the positive side of being able to, kind of having your own brand or be at least being so distinct and, well, it's not just being distinct. You're talented, so I don't want to like overshadow. Like, I mean,
It's
it doesn't
both.
matter what your
Both, yeah.
personality is. Yeah, it's if you weren't as talented as you are, you wouldn't be where you are. So, like, give yourself. Got to make sure you get the credit for that. And please stop saying that you're lucky enough. It's not
You know
luck. You worked
what?
your ass off.
Okay, I have
Luck
this
didn't do it.
conversation with my therapist every week. Okay, I don't need it from you too. But you're right. You're right, and that is, the way that we talk about ourselves is important. And so when we say things like I am lucky to be able to do this, that is true in a lot of different ways. It takes luck to be able, to make those connections. But you know what? I work my ass off. So thank you for saying that. Thanks. I do hustle. I am busy. If I'm not playing a show, I'm at shows, meeting people, and I love doing that. So thank you for that call out.
Well, and it's also that shows that that's another one of the positive things about being able to be who you are is being that high energy. It's got to go
Yeah.
somewhere. So, and if you've only got the one band, well, you've only got, well, what do I do the other 5 days a week?
Hmm.
You get that anxious and nervous energy. You got to have someplace to put it. So, I mean, that's also another great outlet having that many projects and nothing that like, well, you're always yourself. So it's not like, oh, it's, this, we got to be kind of be this type or this vibe for this. And I mean, a lot of the bands have a similar vibe too, but you're able to bring yourself to each one of those. And that's really cool. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is cool. And I get to bring a different part of me to each project. There's things like something to do. Kids love something to do. And I love that. When I look in the audience and I see that there are children at my show, I just feel like that is the most important part of what I do. And that makes me just so happy. But then I'll have, if I'm playing a show in Green Bay and we have something to do fans in Green Bay, but it's a show with local legends who, uses the F word quite a bit more than something to do and is a very politically charged band. It is, I try to put that message out to the parents of like, hey, I would love for your kids to come, but this is what you're signing up for, just so you know. So it is, there are some careful parts to tread there, but, I get to be a cartoon character. I get to be a badass punk. I get to be an empowered woman. I get to be like, all different, and all of those are parts of me, and they're really important parts of me, and so they get nurtured by a lot of different places in a lot of different bands. So that's a really cool part of band hopping.
It's really cool because, I mean, everybody's got so many layers to them, in little different aspects and nuances. And that's why you need different friend groups,
Yeah.
because two people have all the same likes and dislikes. So you got to have people that you can share those things with, especially when it's part of you. And especially as an artist, it's even more important because you got to have an outlet for all that stuff, because you always got some weird stuff. You got to find the right band for that. You got, the more mellow stuff, and you got to find that. And you're able to do that and still be yourself. And it's just great. And well, you were talking about, leads into what I wanted to talk about is like with, having to let the parents know, like, oh, this is going to be the family friendly one. Other than stuff like that, what is there any other? Not only I don't want to say negatives, but things that you can struggle with when you're moving from project to project, and you kind of have your own fan base that follows along.
Yeah. It's really disappointing to have to miss shows. I get FOMO really, really bad. And even if it's like, I'm missing a local show in Milwaukee because instead I'm playing a show in Switzerland that night, I still am like sad, I'm like, I miss my friends. I want to be there. I want to be part of this thing that's very, very important to me. And then or my bands get, when I'm not around, a lot of like, where's the trumpet player? Like, what the hell? And I can't imagine that feels good as a band member, to have somebody like, you just played a show, you did really well, and someone walks up to you and is like, I came to see the girl, and it's like, that is not, you came to see the band, and so there is kind of that nuance of, Every time there's a show that we're going to miss the trombone player from Something to Do, if I'm not able to make the show, he's like, let's all take bets on how many people are going to ask us where's Jessi. And it's like, oh, yeah, so there's that part. And that's all in good fun. That's not, I love my
Yeah,
bandmates.
yeah, luckily you've got a tight knit group of musicians because I've seen this happen in other bands that I've been in where it kind of a punch in the gut when you go up there and you might be a 2 or 3 hour gig. You might be doing a couple sets and you're all done and someone go, oh, we're so and so. Well, we just played for
Yeah.
we just played our hearts out. And so I mean, luckily you have a really tight knit group because yeah, that could actually cause a little distress in the band.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had, I mean, private conversations about like, just making sure we're all good, and we all are, and it's great. And it's, an important part about being someone's friend is being supportive. And so, yeah, I'm really lucky to have a lot of friends in my bands who are very supportive.
Well, that's good because when you surround yourself with people that, like if you're having a good day, they're going to have a
Yeah.
good day and vice versa. So whether if it's like that, like, that you're off having a good time, you're in Switzerland or whatever, your band in Milwaukee's not going to be mad
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
it because they're happy for you. They're not going to get upset because someone's asking where you are. And that's really important to surround yourself with people that are just good people, especially nowadays. I mean, we need as much positivity as we can get. So,
Yeah. Cannot express the love that I have for my bandmates. It's a special relationship, but it's yeah. I mean, yeah, I told you my best friend and I started a band. We didn't know each other before we started the band. He was the guy who was just like, "Well, let's just start a side project." And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll do anything to play music." And that dude has been my best friend for 5 years now. And, he's the one that I call when I'm in Switzerland and I'm crying over something. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna lose my mind out here, man. And then within minutes we're laughing, and we'll just make stupid jokes at each other. And it's just like, those are the people you need in your life. And every person who I have in my life who is like that, I've met through music. And so that's the biggest pro of playing music is always going to be meeting people and the relationships that I have because of it. That's always going to be the thing for me.
that's awesome. So, what advice do you got for anyone that is in a similar situation that's, bouncing between bands a lot and they're trying to develop, who they are because they might play in three different genres of bands, but they still want to, stand out but stay who they are. What advice do you have for artists like that?
I think be authentic is probably the best thing. Like, people can smell bullshit, people can smell inauthenticity a mile away. And so being yourself is really, really important. And come as you are. And I know that sounds so hokey, right? Like second grade, like be yourself. But it's true. And I have never gotten something that I wanted by being inauthentic. That's not the way to go. So think about the things that you like about yourself, the things that you know that you're good at, and build on that. And a really good exercise, if you don't know things that you're good at or you don't know what people like about you, ask your friends. Ask your friend, hey, why do you like me? And that can seem really awkward. What do you like about me? But I bet you'll find out some things that you don't know about yourself. And, that has certainly been a really good exercise for me. And like, you know what? Yeah, I am really nice to people. And I do like that about myself. And so like building on those things, instead of just saying like, I'm going to build a brand for myself. Okay, well, what is your brand? Know what your brand is currently, know what your people you like about you, and then use that as a foundation to build into something else. But you have to do it authentically. You can't fake authenticity.
Yeah, because if you have to be fake to get something, that you got to remember, okay, that's fine, but now you have to stay fake to keep that.
Yeah.
And now that's, I mean, that's anybody can fake something to get what they need.
Hmm.
That's not that difficult. People are easy to read. People are easy to manipulate and lie to. That's why people do it. But then you got to do that forever as long as you have that
Yeah.
relationship. So it's just, it's not worth it at all.
Yeah, it's exhausting. It's exhausting. Who I can't remember had the quote, "You are who you pretend to be, so be careful who you pretend to be." Um, I'm not even gonna guess it who it was, but that quote always stuck with me of like, be very careful when you're pretending because that's what you will turn into.
Oh, absolutely. All right. So I've got another question I didn't even prep you for because I decided I want there's I like doing that once in a while.
Okay.
So here's my question for you is when it comes to marketing and promoting, whether it's as, your own brand or with the band, because I know you do some of the marketing, the promoting and booking and stuff like that
Hmm.
yourself. What is a mistake you made that you learned from and do things differently now because of
That's a
it?
really That's a really good question. The thing that's popping first into my head is like not doing enough of it or feeling like sheepish about doing it. Like nobody's gonna gas you up if you don't gas yourself up. I used to feel really weird about like, I'm not gonna post this tour like every day, or like I know this show's on Friday, but I'm only gonna post about it one time, or like I'll tell my friends. I used to be like kind of sheepish about like shameless self promotion. And it's that shit has got to go. You have to be your biggest fan. You have to be your number one fan. You have to be able to stand up and say unapologetically, hey, I'm doing awesome stuff because I'm an awesome person. You want to be part of that? Come with me. So that's the first thing that's popping into my mind is like not unapologetically believing in myself.
Yeah, because you can't really hesitate going into stuff, any type of marketing. I mean, any industry, especially entertainment industry and the music industry, because your art, no matter what it is, whether it's music, film, or what, it's passion is what creates it.
Hmm.
And if you don't have passion to put it out there, people are going to see that. I mean, I'm not going to seek out a band if their whole promotion is listen to it or don't. I don't care.
Yeah, or
Okay,
the
okay. If
bands,
that's all the effort you
right?
have, I don't. What's this album gonna sound like?
Yeah, yeah. Or the bands that are like, we suck, or we just play shitty music. It's like, well, then I'm not interested in that. What, what are you thinking? Um, yeah, I think that's a mistake that a lot of bands make is like, that a lot of people make, myself included, of just like not being excited enough about yourself and the awesome stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about, you got to be your own biggest fan, and when it comes to marketing and promoting, especially entertainment and music, you're supposed to be larger than life. That's why they're going to come see you. In other words, they'll put on Spotify or Amazon Music and do something else while they're listening.
Hmm.
They want to see larger than life, so it's okay to be that. Even if that's not you all the time, maybe you're a little more reserved and your stage presence is where you get it out, or maybe it's an
Hmm.
act, which neither one of those are a bad
Right,
thing. It's entertainment, plain and fucking
right,
simple.
right.
But I mean, so it's okay. Your marketing can be the same way. Be in your face. You know what? If you've got a gig on Friday, you spent 2 hours making this kick ass digital poster for it. You sat in Adobe, you don't even know how to use it. You figured it out. You made this flyer. Post it every damn hour if you
Yeah,
want to. I mean, be proud of it and put it out there. I mean, do your art until someone tells you to stop and then keep
yeah.
doing it. And that goes for the marketing as well. Marketing doesn't have to be a dirty word. It can be just as creative and as fun as what you're trying to sell.
Hmm. Yeah, the creative marketing, I love. Okay, I have a story. Can I share? We had so something to do, and Mustard Plug. We're very good friends. We play shows together a few times a year. And this was Nate, the bass player from Something to Do's idea, but posted like the world's shittiest flyer. It was like a Google image of like a guy wearing a mustard costume and like the Microsoft Paint, like come see Something to Do with Mustard Plug, and it was like awful. But he posted it and he said, "Help! We spent $5,000 on a graphic designer, and this is what they came back with."
I think I remember seeing that.
People
I
went
honestly remember seeing
crazy for
that.
that. People went we had
Yes.
like lawyers contacting us being like, we're gonna get that money back for you. Like, and then we had like all these graphic designers that then reached out and we got to make connections with them for future flyers, and it was just a stupid joke, but that's one of that post has some of the highest engagement of anything we've ever posted, maybe the highest. I think it was like up to 25,000 like engagements or whatever within like 24 hours. It was crazy.
I remember that. I'd forgot that was your
Yeah, and
band.
people were
That's
sharing it
awesome.
like crazy. People were sharing it being like, "Can anyone help my friends?" And so it was just a stupid joke, and
The best was how many people's heads it went over.
oh
The
yeah,
comments. I will never forget the comments. It was just like, oh, honey,
people were
no.
horrified. Yeah, and then it was like, does that feel a little bit mean? Like when we have people who are like genuinely reaching out, like, "Hey, I know you're going through something. I can help you." And like that's so kind. And then it just felt a little weird to be like, we were just kidding around. But I mean, it's still funny though.
Well, that's the thing, though. Again, though, you're being your
Yeah,
true self, though. It's silly, it's funny, it's just
yeah,
stupid, and that's
so
great.
goofy.
And if they're not going to get that, it's probably not someone you would end up working with
Yeah.
anyways, because they're not going to see things the way you are. That's not going to be the flyer you want to make if it's a graphic
Mm,
designer. So yeah, sometimes doing the weird stuff like that's a good litmus
yeah.
test. I mean, cut the ones that aren't interested or don't get it right out of the picture, and then you got the weird group, and there's your
Yeah,
tribe,
and then we had people being like, "This is fucking awesome," of just like, because I mean, we wouldn't do that. We would never spend $5,000 on a graphic designer in the first place. Like, I mean, it's like the layers of like how silly this thing was. Um,
And if you did, you sure ain't gonna brag about it or tell
oh
anybody
yeah,
online that you
we'd be
spent
so
five thousand
embarrassed. Oh my
dollars.
gosh. Yeah. That was great. I mean, that's like genius level marketing. And Nate does marketing for a living, and so he's like, just like really in tune to that kind of stuff. He's truly a genius, and that was some of his best work. It was incredible.
That's awesome. All right, so what do you got coming up that you'd like to promote?
We have you know what? I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to look at my phone.
She gets out the
I
list of
know.
12 bands and their entire
So
schedules. She's like, we should have started this 5 minutes in.
truly,
It's gonna
yeah,
take
this could be the whole
25.
podcast. Um,
Episode 2 coming up
yeah,
next.
part two. Okay, so we have local or nope, edit that out. Okay. Okay, so looking at like late September, we've got late September, early October. So on or September 30th, Something to Do is playing X-Ray Arcade with Lollipop Lori on their first ever American tour. So that's going to be really cool. If you don't know that band, check them out. After that, Something to Do has a show at Atwood Music Hall in Madison, and then the next day, Local Legends plays at a very DIY venue in Milwaukee called the Sapphic Cellar. That's like an Ask a Punk venue, so slide into the DMs if you want the address for that one. And then I am back in Europe for October into November with Public Serpents. We are so excited for this tour. We're opening for a band called Jaya the Cat, who's like a very famous ska, rock and roll, reggae
Yeah.
adjacent. Yeah. So we are going to be direct support for them on their entire tour. And so that'll be a few weeks in Western Europe, and it's going to be awesome. That's going to be like the most exciting tour that we've done as a band. So it's really, really cool. I also need to shout out Something to Do just released a brand new music video. Brand new. It was a couple weeks ago. But we have a video now for the song called Don't Be Honest off of our most recent album, Here Comes the Panic. And it's a really cool video. It's stop motion. And so I have to shout out our guitar player, Chris Haloida, put his heart and soul into that video. And it took him like months and months to make. So check that one out if you can.
All right. Well, thank you very much. And that's awesome. I'm so happy for you for that tour, your overseas tour. That is
That's
incredible.
so
Well
sick.
deserved. I mean, you earned it. So I'm very happy for you. That's really
Thank you.
cool.
This will be Serbian's second European tour this year, so we are just so happy to be here. So excited. And then we have some other things coming up too that I'm not allowed to tell you yet, but just keep your eyes peeled.
All right. Well, Jessi Dills, thank you again for coming on. I appreciate you've been a wonderful guest. And everyone, thank you for watching. As always, please like, share, subscribe, give us some feedback, good or bad. We want to know how we're doing, and just have a good time. Because if not, what's the point? See you next time.
Bye.